Let me ask you a question. What are you known for? Like in your family, in your household, or among your friends or your coworkers, when people think of you, what are you known for? What's your reputation for? I suppose we all rack up different descriptors, different ways people think of us. Maybe you're the one person in your family who likes country music, or you're the person who makes the family chili recipe, or you're the person who once met that famous celebrity one time in an elevator and always tells the story, or maybe you're the person who was on the honor roll in high school and graduated summa cum laude, or whatever. We each have things we're known for. Some that we are really proud of, some that we have a hard time living down, some that are just our 15 minutes of fame. And sometimes we don't have a whole lot of control over what other people think about us or what memories latch on to our public personas. But sometimes we do have input. We do have some say in what we're known for, at least who we are enough of the time that that's the impression people make of us. So maybe the right question to ask isn't just, what is your reputation for right now? What are you known for? But what do you want to be known for? And what kind of a person would you need to be in order to get that kind of reputation? To be known for something that matters? I guess all of this is pointing me toward a third question, that as a follower of Jesus, I can't help but ask, what was Jesus known for? Like, as he's walking and talking and going across Galilee and all the places around his world, what was Jesus known for? Because he clearly gets a reputation. People seem to know about him. They've heard stories, they've heard rumors about him. News spreads even in a time before social media or even the printing press, and yet people have heard about Jesus. We're going to hear this coming Sunday how the crowds kept surrounding Jesus wherever he went, even when he'd look to get away, to get time to go on retreat with his disciples, even when he'd go to what he thought was a deserted place. The crowds find him. And this is what sticks out at me. When you hear the storytelling the way Mark, the gospel writer, gives it to us, that we'll hear this coming Sunday from Mark chapter 6. Jesus is known for his compassion. Jesus is known as someone who can help and who does help, who doesn't just have power, but is willing to use that power to help and to heal people. That's what keeps drawing people. They're convinced this Jesus is someone who shows love and who's willing to put that love into practice, that it's not just an emotion, it's not just he feels warm and fuzzy toward people, but that he's willing to help people where they're at. And so sometimes that means healing them of diseases. Sometimes that means casting out whatever evil has a grip on them. Sometimes that's teaching them when what they're most needing is direction. But the thing that people keep counting on, the thing Jesus comes to be known for, is compassion, is love that goes into practice, that goes into action. Over and over and over again. That's what leads people to reach out thinking, maybe Jesus could heal me. They don't just believe he has the power to do it. They believe he has the willingness, that if they ask, that if they come, maybe Jesus will help them as well. They don't get the sense, there isn't a reputation that Jesus is stingy with his power, or that Jesus is mean, or that Jesus is self-serving and will only do things for other people if they'll do things for him in return or do things for him first. They don't have a fear that he turns away people who are different or turns away people who are unclean. They don't have the impression that Jesus is interested in intimidating or conquering. None of those things. What they've heard about Jesus is that he's good, that he has power from God, but that power is always exercised in compassion. And I guess knowing that about Jesus, knowing that Jesus has this reputation, because that's who he is all the time. That's how you build a reputation, right? Just by being a certain kind of person all the time. And Jesus does this and becomes widely known for his compassion, not for the show he puts on or the spectacle of divine power, but for his compassion. He does that in a world that doesn't have electricity, phone calls, internet, social media, any of those things, and yet news about him and his compassion spreads like wildfire. Which brings me then, I guess, to a fourth question we need to ask as church. What are we known for? Not just you and me individually, not just even us as congregation. What are Christians known for? Because to be fair, there's kind of a mixed bag of reputations of followers of Jesus these days. Some people know Christians as the compassionate people who show up in the face of disaster. Sometimes people know Christians as the judgmental jerks who are playing the same games of getting wealth and power and status like anybody else. Sometimes people know Christians as the ones who think they're too holy and won't associate with the outcast or the unclean or the people on the margins. But we have the opportunity every day. We have the opportunity to choose what we want to be known for by being a certain kind of people. On my wall in the office here are pictures, some of them imaginative, of different figures throughout the history of the life of the church, different saints and people in the life of the church. And when I look at them, whether it's Fred Rogers or Stephen the Martyr or Dietrich Bonhoeffer or Dr. King, I think about that each one of these people had a reputation that was earned by the kind of people that they were. And basically that all of them find ways of showing Jesus in their lives, showing Jesus kind of compassion in their lives by their day-by-day choices, by little choices and big choices, by what they say and what they do. They give the impression, they create the reputation that being a follower of Jesus is continuing his kind of compassion that is powerful to be sure, but is always gracious. I guess the question I want to ask right now, and that we're going to have conversation about this coming Sunday, is just that. What would it look like? What steps would you and I take here and now to practice that kind of compassion, that when people think about Christians today, they wouldn't immediately think of the loud, angry hypocrites they've seen before. They wouldn't think about the hucksters selling health and wealth on TV screens in exchange for prayers and donations. And they wouldn't think about people who practice sort of fake holier-than-thou snobbery. They think about people who show love that draws people in. That's the conversation we're having this coming Sunday as we explore what it means that Jesus is known for his compassion. Join us for that conversation. See you then.